Welcome to the Alain Guillot podcast, a podcast about life, leadership, and money matters. Our guest today is Payal Kadakia. Payal is the founder of a revolutionary fitness and wellness platform called ClassPass, which provides people access to the best boutique fitness classes, gyms, and wellness experiences around the world. Payal is also the founder and artistic director of the Sa Dance Company, dedicated to expressing Indian American identity. And today, we will speak about Payal's book, LifePass, Develop the Mindset, Techniques, and Goals to Optimize Your Life. Payal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about the book.
So we have so much in common. I'm also a dancer. I have been teaching dance
Incredible.
for 15 years. So I see that you started your life as a dance performer, Indian dance performer, and that was your whole identity. So let's start from there. You are the daughter of immigrants, Indian immigrants, and then you grew up in New Jersey. So take us to that time of your life.
Yeah, so my parents came here in the 70s, and I was born and raised in a small town in New Jersey. There wasn't many people who looked like me in my town, so I had to find a way to fit in and find a way to feel like I could be who I truly was. And thankfully, I had a community nearby that had a bit more Indian community there, and I danced there. I found my dance teacher there. I found other Indian girls who looked like me, and we danced together for 15 years when we were younger, and we would do dance competitions and surround ourselves with a lot of cultural traditions, which was really important to my identity.
But in the book, at the beginning, you describe an instance in which you were performing with some other little kids and people boo you out of the stage.
Yeah,
Can
I
you,
know.
I mean, that I was so sad when I heard that part, but can you share that with the listeners, please?
Yeah, so in third grade, I was doing a dance performance to an Indian folk dance that my dance teacher had taught me and a bunch of the other girls we were dancing with. And we had a talent show, and I decided to perform that because that was what I knew. And it was different. It wasn't jazz and American dancing, it was Indian folk dancing. And sadly, after a few minutes of performing, I think people just started, they didn't understand it. So I just started hearing boos over the loudspeaker, and they booed me off stage in a way. And I think I finished the dance, and then I ran off and I started crying. And I remember at that point in my life, I decided that I would hide parts of who I was. And I think we all tend to do that at points, but I spent a long time, keeping my Indian side for my Indian community and my American side for my American community, and not really bringing them both together. And I think, for me, a lot of my life has been about figuring out how I use those different threads of who I am to actually build something and create something and share versus hiding them. But it took me a little bit, and I think it takes a lot of us a little bit of time to really go through who we are and be able to blend all the layers of what makes us who we are together.
Okay, so at that time, you perform the Indian dance. You were booed out of the stage, yet you love dancing. Why wouldn't you decide to become a jazz dancer or a tap dancer or belly dancer? Probably belly dancer, yeah, wouldn't be the best. But why wouldn't you just? Why do you stick to your identity, Indian roots, and just stick it out and continue doing Indian dance?
So, the other part of my childhood, and it's also an important one, is my parents, very much
Hmm.
wanted education. They wanted obviously stability for me and my sister as we got older. And we didn't really know what the path ahead was for dance. While I was really good at it and I loved to do it, it was less unclear for what an Indian dancer professionally would ever look like. And sadly, that's still a bit of a problem in the world. But outside of that, I wanted to also figure out a way to continue to impact the world. And dance provides me so much, but I'm also split in two from a creative standpoint and a business standpoint, right? So it's not just Indian American. I have I've learned this in my life. I also, like, I went to MIT, I worked at Bain. I figured out that, my brain could also do other types of activities and problem solving that could even do more than even just dancing. And dancing is my fuel and it centers me. But I wanted to use that as inspiration to do something even bigger in the world.
Okay, well, the first part of the book is finding your calling, and in your case, your calling was calling you. But I think this is one of the biggest impediment that we have to find our happiness, is that in the sea of noise of all the things that we are supposed to do to blend with society and meet everyone's expectations, we have a hard time finding our calling. And for you, it's like a fairy tale. You found it, you knew
Agreed.
that you wanted to be express your artistic side above above a paycheck, above a corporate job. But not so many people have that clarity. I wonder, and of course you are trying to tell us with your book how we can clean the fog and find our calling, but can you share some of that with the listeners?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I want everyone to know that it's never too late. You can always find that fulfillment and meaning, right? And I think we all, even for me, there are times where I feel very connected to it. And there are times where I fall off and I need to recenter and refind it. And so I think that's really the most important thing I want to tell everyone, that it's something that they can find at any point in their life. The second part is that it's already inside of you. It's not something that someone's going to tell you what your calling is, right? It's something that actually you have to, as you just mentioned, strip away the noise, quiet the voices, and actually listen to yourself. Your calling is already there if you let yourself explore it and let yourself connect to it. So sometimes it really is about learning to say no to all the things you don't want to be doing that are obligations in your life, and allowing yourself to just be and start doing the things that are in line with what you truly want to be doing and what is meaningful to you. And then the third thing I would say is you do need to try new things. I think sometimes we, whether that's being around different people, being in a different community, different place, if you are traveling, trying a new activity. I mean, I talk about this in my book as well. It took me to go to San Francisco, to leave New York and go to San Francisco to even come up with the idea of ClassPass. And the reason for that was that in New York, I had a certain group of friends and a certain type of people I was always around. It took me literally to go to another city to understand that there was another career path even ahead that I could do. And I would have never even seen that if I didn't take that trip. And that's why I always truly encourage people to get out of their comfort zone. And that doesn't mean you have to, like, do anything that's very drastic. It's just learning to take an hour or two out of your day and see how you feel. And I think that goes back to my second point, is do it. And then you have to reflect. It requires a lot of self-awareness to know what your calling is. And when you start to find it, it starts to guide you. And I think that's really what, the rest of the book truly is about, is once you have that North Star, there's going to be a lot of roadblocks. Of course there is. Life is not easy. Things aren't just given to us. But I think when you have that true north that you're moving towards, it just becomes easier to get through a lot of these constraints that exist in our life.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I'm just gonna put a stumbling blocks. Blocks.
Go.
So the other impediment that I see is people's fear. For example, it took you for you to go to San Francisco to realize that other people were having were working on the things that they wanted to do, and not to separate the corporate life with their dreams or ambitions or whatever. And some people do find that thing. They say, oh, one day I would like to be X. When I retire, I will do this other thing. Because there's this huge fear of giving up what is known, the standard life of waking up, going to a job from 9 to 5, and then after you come home at 6 o'clock, tired and hungry, then that's a space that you want to give to your own dreams. And it is mostly the fear that most people have to say, no, I'm going to dedicate a bigger piece of the pie of my life to my dreams and ambition, and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit less to the corporate things, to the things that people are expecting out of me.
I think that's a journey, right? And everyone has to figure out their own plan, right? And I think the most important thing I would say in that is you need to have a plan, right?
Mm.
None of this just happens overnight, right? It's not about just quitting your job on a whim. You have to create a plan to get there. And for me, and I think this is a big roadblock for most people, it's money, right? It's money that gives a lot of the fear. And growing up in a situation where we didn't have a lot of money growing up, I know and felt that how money could either guide everything everyone was doing with their time or even limit our freedom. And I truly believe in the feeling of having money work for you and not you working for money. And I truly say that because you are the one earning that dollar. You are the only one who knows what it means to you. And you have to put it into work towards your dreams, right? You need to make it. We all have responsibilities, right? We can't just say we're going to let them go. And it's about creating a budget, a long-term plan, so you can be at a place maybe in a few years where you could maybe quit your job and go after your dreams, right? Instead of it being where you're stuck in the 9 to 5 and stuck in that everyday sort of grind that we're so many people in the world are in, and they don't even have the time, like you said, to question if that's what they really want to do. And the other thing I want to say about that is I have this quote in the book, and it's one of my favorites from Robin Sharma. It's, your greatest life is on the other side of your greatest fear. And I live by that quote. And actually, that quote always reminds me about the day I quit my job, which was very scary. I was, only in, I was in my late 20s. I had worked for 5, 6 years. I had some savings. My dad and I came up with a financial plan where I had 3 years to really live off of my savings and be able to go after my dreams, which was a nice comfort. But quitting is not easy, knowing that you are going to make no income, have no infrastructure support. And I always remember, because that day I decided to quit, I sent an email out to, much of the leadership at my company. And the vice chairman of my company called me to his office to listen to, sorry, my headphone may have gone out. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And so I went up to to meet my vice chairman, and he, very quickly said, "Tell me about your idea." And at this point, I was just working on a very small idea. I didn't know where it was going to go. And he goes, "Great, I want to give you a $10,000 check." And I mean, I couldn't believe it. On the day that I literally went and faced the biggest fear of my life, the most important thing, that ever could have happened to me happened, which was I got my first check for my startup.
Wow, amazing. Well, occasionally, this is not something that I do often, but I do this from time to time. I was consulting with somebody last night, and this person in particular, they're earning X amount of money, and but they feel suffocated by their work. And I say, well, why don't you work less and allow yourself some time, some breathing room? And then it's just that we value it seems like we connect our self-worth with the amount of money that we earn. So this person says, oh, I cannot go backwards. It would feel like going backwards in life to have a smaller salary, even if I get to live a little bit more of my life. So and this is something that I hear so often, and to be honest, I have almost give up arguing against it, but that's a predominant mindset.
I think first of all, I commend you for fighting it. I think there's people, and I do that for so many of my friends' lives. That's actually so much of why I was inspired to even write this book, because I realized if I can inspire, anyone in the world to go after their dreams a little bit more, right? And once again,
do it with the plan, right? Not do it in a way that's irresponsible. There is a way to do it and really feel responsible. And you do have to settle the expectations and the voices in your head. I mean, there were many times, my parents, even when I was younger and I was dancing so much, my parents weren't always on board. They wanted me to go to business school and I was sitting here dancing. And I learned though, I had to bring them along with me, right? So I shared everything I could about my success with them so they could truly understand what I was capable of, right? And I think sometimes we need to actually identify who those people who are limiting us in our minds are, right? So your friend may have said that, but who is he thinking about in his mind when he is thinking about, moving forward? And he's not thinking about himself, because if he was thinking about himself, being fulfilled is the only way forward, right? He is actually going back every single day. He is working for money. It's not the other way around. And he needs to be able to see that and feel that. And, going back to the earlier conversation, I think when you love something so deeply, and I, once again, I feel so grateful. I found this when I was younger. And I think when it's your true calling, because it's in service of other people, money, fame, power, it drops off. There's no need for it, because you realize that this other thing that allows you to give to other people is just so much more meaningful to you, that most of those other things feel small, and I truly believe, and I'm at a point in my life, and I really, I'm so grateful for the success I've achieved and in all aspects, but the core of it, and I fought so hard through so much of it because I cared so much about impacting other people's lives. That was always my dream. I never cared about how big the company was going to get or what valuation we were going to have or press we were going to have. I cared about getting someone to class. And that was, the most important thing. Because why? Because I loved going to class and I wanted other people to have that experience. And I dedicated my time, my energy to solving that problem. And on the other side of it, look, yes, it ended up getting me a lot of the things that I would have wanted in my life, from money and power and all that stuff. But either way, that's never what I started with. It was truly because I did something meaningful. And I think if we look around, the people we see sort of really, and I hate using the word success because we can talk a little bit about that too, because I think success is a journey, not an endpoint. But the people we see who are truly fulfilled in their life are the ones who are doing what they truly love. And we need more examples of that. And I think especially in, cultures, where, I'm a child of immigrants, and, just cultures that aren't very used to talking about creative endeavors and more fulfilling. We need to tell more stories so people have, anchors, and little children around the world have dreams and people to look up to in these worlds.
Well, Paya, I have in preparation for this interview, I went to YouTube and I Googled not your entrepreneurial endeavors or achievement, but your dancing. And I encourage listeners to go and check out some of your dancing. It's beautiful. I like it. But my question is, okay, so you are busy choreographing these amazing routines and practicing and starting a business. How do you get the time and the know-how to also write a book?
Well, so it's all about priorities, right? Like at the end of the day, I think as somebody who has fought to keep dance in my life through every aspect, right? Through college, through my professional career, I have learned to use my time very wisely. And I am very clear about what I want to get done every single week, every single month, every single quarter, because I set goals and I'm very, very clear about what my priorities are. And I think the most important part about this is I don't let guilt stand in my way, right? So I don't feel guilty about the fact that I might be able to be missing something like social function, a family thing. I think I've learned that I am the only one who can move myself forward, and whatever my priorities are, I will make sure I get done. And there are times where, there are certain friends I want to see or certain family I want to see, and I will make time for them. But I believe in being present and making sure that, the time I use is used worthwhile, and it's my choice.
Okay, well, about the book, I you're taking us in the journey of your life and seeing how it's evolving. But I had to congratulate you on the self-check points. So you narrate a point, and then you tell us how we can apply some of the lessons that you are sharing with us, how the listener can apply that. And I mean, I have seen it before in a previous book, but I think the way that you did it is just magnificent and magnificent. I want to give this book to my daughter as well. She's a fitness freak. She's a bodybuilder, and I love the book. Honestly, I
Thank
just
you.
before we close, I mean, we have talked superficially about your business, but can you tell us one or two words about your business, ClassPass?
Yeah, so ClassPass is a monthly membership that lets you take fitness classes and wellness experiences all around the world. Has yoga classes, martial arts classes, and now also has massages and acupuncture. It's one membership. You can book any of the appointments that we have on the platform. We work with 30,000 partners around the world. I actually sold the company just 2 months ago. So at this point, I'm moving on to new endeavors, but I'm so excited for the company to be moving forward and continuing to change the world.
Well, my last question is, can you tell us one more time the title of the book and where can the listeners follow the work that you are doing?
Yeah, so the book is called LifePass, Drop Your Limits, Rise to Your Potential. And you can go to lifepassbook.com to find any other information about me and the book.
And I suggest to the listeners to also go and check her out in the YouTube. She's an
Oh, thank
amazing
you so
dancer.
much.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.